Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to Hot Mic on a hump day, the 29th day of April 2026, as we barrel towards May. We got Kentucky Derby this weekend. We got a big night for Minnesota sports tomorrow night because the Wild and Wolves can clinch at home. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. I know what the calendar says. It's almost May, but football talk is always on the brains here. North Dakota State wrapped up its spring football practices last week. There was an interested attendant at the final spring practice, as Tim Polisic told us on the air that night that the Bison weren't done adding or tinkering to the football roster for 2026. And our next guest is the newest member of the football roster for 2026. Chance Tucker will transfer from a little school you may have heard of, Notre Dame, to play football for the Bison. He starts our show off this morning. First off, congrats. Thanks for giving us a few minutes. How did this happen? Because players from Notre Dame aren't coming to Fargo.
What's up, Dom? First of all, appreciate you for having me.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. It was a kind of a quick process. You know, Coach Omoko reached out. You know how the whole recruiting process goes. And we kind of just hit it off from there. Talked it up, and then he wanted to get me on campus, and kind of got to see everything, and it was a go from there.
All right, so give us the back. Did you know anything about NDSU, Fargo, the Bison before getting on the airplane to come here?
Yeah, no, I knew about the program. I wouldn't say I know too much. Of course, you guys were like one of the most winningest FCS teams of all time. So of course I knew that. I knew that you guys were moving up to the FBS to be in the Mountain West, which was also pretty intriguing to me. I know you guys are a super winning program, of course, and I thought that there were some similarities between NDSU and Notre Dame. So that was also very attractive to me.
All right, so you get here. What stood out? What surprised you, impressed you, any of the above when you got on campus here?
Yeah, kind of got to see a bunch of the city, got to meet all the staff, Coach Polisic, Coach Omoko, Coach Olson, all great people. Got to, kind of see what your guys' culture was all about. And honestly, it kind of goes to say, because you guys are a super winning program, you guys have a great culture, or I would say that we have a great culture now. Like I said, there's some similarities between Notre Dame and NDSU. You guys are all about brotherhood, all about constant improvement and finding a way to be the best version of yourself. And that's kind of what sold me is, where can I go somewhere that is going to bring the best out of me, and also somewhere where I can give my best to.
Chance, was there anything you specifically either needed to hear or just say, hey, this is where I want to go? Was there anything to that this is a check mark that I could see myself playing here?
Yeah. I would say culture was number one, which I just touched on. And like I said, Coach Polisic is a very urgent dude, operates with a very extreme sense of urgency, which is something that you want from your coach. You want someone that's going to be brutally honest with you and is going to – he kind of showed me how I was going to fit in. I also speaking with Coach Omoko and Coach Olson and kind of getting to understand the defense a little more and how I would specifically fit in. I could see it all coming together. Yeah.
So did you tell him yes here, or did you wait when you got back to South Bend?
Nah, I was actually in a meeting. I was in Coach Polisac's office with Coach Olson, Coach Polisic, Coach Omoko, kind of broke the news to them. So it was an exciting moment. It was a blessing. And
I was gonna say, what was the reaction on both for you and for them? What was that like?
They're pretty hyped. They seem pretty stoked. I was excited. We're ready to get this thing done and, go get one this year.
So tell us about your time with Notre Dame. Obviously, you had injury. You've had a chance to play. How would you describe basically the last 5 years of your experience at South Bend?
Yeah. Just one word. It was a blessing, man. To be able to go to what I think is one of the greatest universities in the world in Notre Dame, and contribute to such a great institution and a great team with such a great faculty and teammates. It was a blessing. It was a lot of fun. A lot of. It wasn't easy, I wouldn't say. One of the one of the mottos that we had over there that Coach Freeman always harps on is choose hard. So no, just finding a way to choose hard each and every day and not take the easy way out. Choosing hard will go a long way in your life. So it was a blessing. Got to meet some of the best people in the world and connect with a bunch of great people. Got to play a lot of good football as well, and a lot of good came out of that university for me.
So Coach Freeman was hired. Was that after you had signed, or right when you signed at Notre Dame?
It was right when I. It was like right when I signed.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that?
I was so. Funny thing is, I was in the 2020 class. So I was the whole COVID year.
Yeah.
Didn't get to do any official visits. All my recruiting process was on Zooms and a bunch of FaceTimes and calls and whatnot. So I was recruited by Coach Kelly and Coach Clark Lee and Coach Mickens, who was the cornerback, thankfully, my whole time at Notre Dame. Him and Coach Mickens, or Coach Freeman and Coach Mickens go way back. So it was good to. It was good for Coach Mickens not to leave. So right after I committed, Clark Lee left, or Coach Lee left, and then Coach Freeman became the DC, and then the next year he became the head coach.
So we see it on TV. You lived it. Is it what we see in South Bend, of the stadium, the walk there? Can you give us what it is? It what we see? Is that accurate?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Every single day on campus, it's one of the most beautiful campuses in the United States, I would say, especially in the winter, that was one thing. The snow everywhere, that was a transition for me, especially coming from LA as a little freshman. That was funny, but the stadium's amazing. Just the whole aura of the place. It's vibrant. It's the people are great. There's a lot of good that you could say about Notre Dame.
This probably seems like a slam dunk or a silly question, but when the recruiting process happened out of high school, and then Notre Dame was that like a slam dunk? Like, that's it. Let's shut it down.
Kind of. I would say so. I think I nailed it. I remember I nailed it down to Washington, at UW, and Notre Dame. Funny facts, like he probably get mad at me for saying this. Like, when I got the Notre Dame offer, it was like the first offer where my dad got a little emotional, and I'm like, looking back at him, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, what? Like, why are you never do this? And at that time, I didn't really understand the prestige of Notre Dame. So it took a little bit of push from my parents for me to understand, which I'm so glad and so blessed that they were able to do that. But Notre Dame is really one of one. It's one of the best academic and football institutions in the world. So
you got a chance to play, I think, 9 games in 23, and then you got hurt. Tell me how frustrating, mentally challenging was that? Where, hey, I'm getting a chance to play, and then bam, you have to miss the whole season in 2024.
Yeah. So it was rough. Obviously, when you go through such traumatic injuries like that, it can be like discouraging, I guess you could say. But I wouldn't say I'm one to be discouraged. I tore my ACL and MCL going into that 2024 national championship run. Right, it was, the fall camp? Yeah, it was the fall camp right before. It was like the last practice of fall camp before we were going to play Texas A&M. But yeah, it can seem disheartening. I would say well, first of all, let me preface this by saying I'm a very spiritual person. My faith is my number one priority in my life. So I'm a big believer in, that everything that happens is happening for a reason, and that God is doing this to build me up and ultimately make me a better human, a better football player when I come back, a better, hopefully father and son in the future. Just, the list goes on. But yeah, it was a process, just coming in, rehabbing and working hard every single day. Had a full recovery and was able to come back the next season at 100%.
So now you had a chance another year to play. What were you looking for? Was it just an opportunity to play at another school? Like, what was on the Chance Tucker checklist of, hey, I got another year, this is what I want to do?
Yeah. So definitely wanted to go to a winning program. And really I just want to come and help a team win, do whatever I can to help this team win, and hopefully step into a bigger role on the field, and just make a bunch of plays. That's what I want. I want to make plays for the Bison.
You're a California native, and NDSU, as you mentioned, is moving to the Mountain West. They're going to be playing games out in California pretty regularly now. What we don't know, because our viewers and listeners, Chance, don't know anything about high school football in California. Give us the lowdown, because I have a figure there's some dudes that play high school ball in your home state.
Oh yeah. I would say there's a lot of people that argue, but I would say California got the best high school ball, hands down. We got a ton of powerhouses out there in California. Yeah. I'd say it prepared me for D1 college football pretty well.
Now, you've played everywhere. Obviously, Notre Dame plays everybody. NDSU is getting ready for this jump up to the Mountain West. What is something maybe that fans are going to have to get used to about FBS football? We know what FCS football is like, but at the higher, I always call it the big boy division. What is something that for fans that are going to have to get used to after your time playing in it that we just don't know about?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think it would be too much different. Football is football. We're trying to win at the end of the day. So I hope they could get used to a whole bunch of W's that we will be able to put out this season. I don't anticipate it to be much different from anything that they've seen. We're definitely gonna be operating on a higher level, and it's gonna take a little bit more out of us, I would say, as a program. But I wouldn't say for them to expect anything different as far as us winning.
So
games.
To have this done it's getting late. I want to figure out a place. Was this on your timeline, or just like, hey, this is when it happens, it's gonna happen?
Yeah, it was the latter. When it happens, it's going to happen. Yeah. Sort of trusting and giving the situation to God and praying on it. And thankfully, he was able to give me this opportunity, which I'm very blessed.
So give us the timeline. What's ahead now for when you actually get up here?
Yeah, so I actually just had my last day of class yesterday. I told you, that's why I had to reschedule all these days. I've been having a bunch of presentations and finals and whatnot. Finishing up my master's here. So I'm going back to Cali tomorrow, or actually later today.
Okay.
Sorry. Back to Cali later tomorrow to just train, spend some time with the family before, I think our report date is sometime end of May. Yeah, May 27th. I'll go up there fairly early, get situated, and get ready to hit this thing rolling.
So Coach Amoko's only been here a couple months. Did you get a chance to meet some of the other cornerbacks, or is that you haven't even done that yet?
Yeah. I got to meet some of the guys.
What was that conversation like? Because honestly, there's some new guys there as well. You're not alone. There's going to be a couple other new guys that are going to be in the room this year.
Yeah. They were all great people, fun guys, hard workers. Thankfully I was able to attend that spring game. Got to see some of the guys make some plays, so that was fun seeing how I'd fit in.
Coach Amoko brought up to me when you looked around about facilities-wise, and I wanted to ask this before I let you go. Was there – I know it's not comparable to South Bend, but when you saw it, like, does Fargo look big time to you, I guess is the question I'll ask.
Yeah. No, yeah, most definitely. It's definitely where I wanted to be. They have every resource and every facility and, everything that you could ask for from a player standpoint. So I wouldn't say they fall short in any particular area.
What do the guys tell you about the Fargo Dome?
It gets loud. Yeah, it gets loud.
I really appreciate doing this, but especially at a crazy time. Congratulations on graduating. Safe travels back home. Look forward to seeing you back here in a couple weeks, okay?
Yes, sir. I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate the time. There he is, Chance Tucker, new North Dakota State transfer corner from a little school you may have heard of called Notre Dame. Played 14 career games with the Irish. He redshirted his freshman year of 21, got in a couple games in 22. His most experience came in 2023. You heard him mention the ACL, MCL tear in 2024. He played 4 games this past fall for Marcus Freeman and comes out of, he mentioned out of L.A., played his high school ball, obviously in California, and now we'll get a chance at a spot we've talked about. We're going to have the defensive coordinator here in studio with us in about 45 minutes to discuss the entire defense, and linebacker is certainly going to be one, which is not an area that I'm interested in of who's going to play. Corner's another, where the Bison brought in 2 transfers out of the D2 ranks and now brought in Chance out of Notre Dame. And I think there are a certain section of the fan base that was thinking when the Bison moved to this level that they would get all these kind of players. And again, I would caution you, and this is not to mean Chance at all, but typically what we've seen are the guys that are moving up have the better chance to play well, and get a lot of time on. The drop-downs, it's hit and miss. We'll see. The Bison have a couple of drop-downs I think they're counting on, Kenny Anene being one, their right tackle, that can flourish and play well and play a lot of football for them. So we'll see. Appreciate Chance joining us. And, again, it's just you hear the words Notre Dame, it just has a different effect on you, whether it's from the movies, whether it's just seeing them on television every Saturday because their games are always either in a primetime spot or NBC has them as they have for 30-some-odd years in that 2:30 window or at night. It's just a different deal. So we'll see. If you're getting recruited to Notre Dame, I would think you can play. I mean, our guy down the road in Kindred's getting recruited to play. Mr. Starcevic is getting recruited to play at Notre Dame. I would think they would know what they're doing, but we'll see. Appreciate him giving us a chance to start our show. The rest of our guest lineup today brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Drew Trafton will join us in a few minutes to gloat on his Mariners. We'll show you what they did last night to the Twins. We'll get some NFL draft reaction from Drew as well. And then, as I mentioned, the defensive coordinator, Grant Olson, will join us from North Dakota State here in studio for about, I think, 30, 45 minutes. We're going to go chat with Grant on spring ball, thoughts on what he saw from not only the Bison defense, I think the team as a whole, and looking ahead now to the official quote-unquote off-season and getting ready for fall camp, which begins, as Chance mentioned here, at the end of July. Here we are. We are 18 Saturdays away. 4 months from today is the first Bison FBS game. It's saying that out loud makes it even more real. August 29th, 4 months from today, the Bison open up against Jacksonville State. So that's a perfect segue to get us ready for some football. So that's what we got coming up here on this Wednesday. We'll take our first break. We come back. The Mariners got to Joe Ryan in a big-time way. We'll show you that and much more. His hot mic is off and rolling. We're back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL in Sioux Falls, KMBN in Rapid City, and Inforum.com.
The biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
All right, we rarely get to do highlights with you, but I thought, hey, we had a guest off the hop of the show. Mm-hmm. Your Mariners are in downtown Minneapolis this week.
They are. I'm surprised they got a game off 2 days ago.
Yeah, that was. We showed that. Rain. It was horrendous. It looked like Luis Castillo wanted no part of being there.
Goodness.
Much like most of the Mariners.
I didn't even turn that game. I didn't even watch that game. Like I by the time I looked on my phone, it was like 5-0, and I was like,
right.
Don't have to worry about this one today.
Well, how about last night, though? Did you watch last night?
I caught part of the game last night, yeah. Kind of the same deal where, it was tied up 1-1, and then the Mariners burst it open.
Against Joe Ryan again. Yeah. The Twins' stat with Joe Ryan is crazy. Logan Gilbert gives up a moonshot here to Byron Buxton, who's just having a dynamite start to the year.
Yeah. Boy, is he. Like, dude's just mashing right now. And the last guy you want to see at the plate. But thankfully, bases were empty.
Yes.
So we'll take a solo shot.
That's a Twins thing, is they are lead the league in solo home runs.
Yep.
It's one zip, then
Naylor
Josh Naylor
had
going
a
to the plate,
game,
right?
and that's so huge because he has struggled at the plate, as have all the Mariners this year. But like they're starting, like the bats are starting to come around a little bit. His especially is starting to heat up, and he mashed.
Who is Cole Young, and should I know who he is?
Cole Young is this is like I think his official rookie season. He played a little bit last year.
Okay.
Second baseman right now. I think he's leading the league in defensive WAR.
Well, there's a stat.
Yeah, he's good.
Good little opposite field hitting, though, off Cody Funderburk. That gave the Mariners a 2-1 lead in the 7th. This ball is hit to St. Cloud.
Yeah.
Naylor knew it. I mean, what a feeling that must be to hit a ball like that.
I would never know. But I mean, just lovely little bat flip. And Naylor's such a vibes guy for that team.
Yes, totally.
He is a leader in the clubhouse. And when he can do that.
I mean, you hit it out clicking. There. That's like Jim Thome territory for Target
deep.
Field fans there.
Yeah.
By the way, love the old school Mariner jersey.
That's their
in the
City
stands
Connect.
there.
Yeah,
that's
their
stuff.
City Connect jersey, which has grown on me over time.
Julio Rodriguez adds to it,
too.
but they need him to get going, obviously. Just down the left field line.
Notoriously, he has slow starts to seasons, and but he's also the guy who, I mean, a couple weeks ago I was on your show, I was like, yeah, it's over. The sky's falling on it, and he's the Aaron Rodgers relaxed type of guy, and he's like, we'll get it, we'll figure it out, and they're not quite 500 yet. That one put them a game below, but they get another shot tonight.
The final is the Mariners take game 2 of the set. Joe Ryan takes the loss, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs. He struck out 6. The Twins have lost 15 of the last 17 Joe Ryan starts.
Yeah.
You cannot lose his starts. You can't.
Yeah.
He's your guy.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of staff aces this year.
Tell me about
it.
Yeah.
Really
let down. Paul Skeens has not done any. The Pirates can never win when he pitches. That's just automatic. You have to win those games.
Yeah, it's
Crochet from Boston, same thing.
Yeah.
So Mariners are now 15-16 on the year. They will play a little matinee baseball here at Target Field today to wrap up the 3-game set. George Kirby will go for
this is
the
a
Mariners.
Really intriguing pitching
Taj
matchup.
Bradley from Minnesota.
This could be, both of those guys have had pretty good starts to the year, so it'll be interesting to see.
So let's give me your first overall impressions. I think on our mock, we did really well.
Yeah,
I think we knocked it out of the park. Now, after pick 5, it was
all
disaster.
Fell apart. But everybody's was like that, right? I mean, I think after the first round, I was seeing just it was kind of what everyone thought it would be, and which was there was no consensus. There wasn't a lot out there. In terms of where these players were valued and how. I was a little surprised that as many offensive players went as they did. I think we saw those runs happen, especially with tackles. Like when that started to go, it was just boom, 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 boom. Day 2 tight ends. It was when the tight ends started to go, it was just a cavalcade, and it was I don't know how many of 7 of them.
I want to hit you on the
that.
Ty Simpson pick, though, because that is really, I mean, that's in your division as a Seahawks fan, that the Rams go and do that. And obviously the last 5 days has been fixated on McVay's reaction to it. I'm more intrigued that the Rams are in a win. They think this is their team. They're hosting the Super Bowl. They can do it again. To not add to the current roster seems befuddling to me.
It does to me, too, especially because there's been so much made of the fact that Sean McVay is maybe tying himself to Matthew Stafford in terms of longevity, where it's when Stafford retires, McVay's stepping away.
Now, they're getting a contract extension with Stafford.
Yes. And so it's okay. But that makes that pick all the more befuddling,
bizarre, right?
Because this isn't a good quarterback draft, and Ty Simpson's not last week when we were picking, I initially said Ty Simpson on accident because I was looking at all the I had all the mocks up and I knew I was picking for the Rams, and I was reading, I think it was Todd McShay's latest mock draft that morning, and he had them picking Ty Simpson, and so that name was in my head. And I was thinking Lemon, but I was Ty Simpson popped out of my mouth.
God, and the Eagles got him.
Yeah, right. But it's can you imagine? So if you're the Rams, right now you only have Stafford's under contract for one more year as of right now.
Yeah.
But so is Devontae Adams.
Yep.
You know, and it's like if you're banking on Ty Simpson being your quarterback of the future, or you're going to be working with Matthew Stafford when Father Time's undefeated, and there will be diminishing returns at some point. He's not the healthiest guy ever. It's like you're not going to you were in prime position to land the second best receiver in this draft, potentially the best receiver in this draft, you know, and it's like, and you don't do it. And, you know, Sadiq was still on the board at that point. You know,
I'm glad for that.
Yeah. I mean, like you could have built your offense in so many different ways to help you right now. And I look at it, you know, and I have the utmost respect for what the Rams do and the 49ers do, but both of those teams, those were like arrogant drafts.
It seemed like Shanahan was also in his own world. Him and John Lynch both with the Niners were like, we don't care which is fine. But again, their draft was odd.
It was weird, you know, and like they had beat reporters asking them about, they're like, you know what are you doing here? Like with these reaches. And, you know, it's just like, there's so much good data that shows in the early rounds, in rounds like 1, 2, and 3, you should probably follow consensus. Like it's not
which
like, again,
the Vikings didn't do either.
No,
everything thought
so
Feeneman was going to be for the Vikes at 18, and they didn't take him.
Yeah, it's like the math says. And the NFL is all about analytics. It's like the math says you should follow consensus in the first few rounds. Like you will do much better over time if you just follow the big board thinking. And, you know, they have all these scouts. They have all of these guys. And they do get those meetings with the players. They get the top 30 visits, all of that. And maybe that lends it, like, that's why they're thinking the way they're thinking. But, like, you really, like, don't reach. Like, there's just... it just doesn't work out. And I don't know. Yeah. I was kind of befuddled by some of the picks. Like the Jeremiah Love pick at 3 really bothered me, even though like that had been kind of telegraphed a couple of days leading up.
So the whole NFC West was bizarre.
Yeah.
Because Mel Kiper says your team got a B-.
Right. And like they picked 32.
Right.
You know, and they reached on round 1 because
you don't think Jadarian Price was...
I like that. Yeah. I like the player. Yeah. I don't like the value at that pick because, and like that's why I really don't like Jeremiah Love. Yeah. He's getting more guaranteed money as a running back than any running back has in NFL history. Never stepping on a field for an NFL team before. He should not be getting $17 million more dollars than Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, right.
You know, like that, and that's the reality of the situation. And it's just like. The NFL draft is all about getting the most amount of talent you can for the least amount of money.
Yes.
Because that allows you to unlock so much more on your roster. And when Super Bowl windows are so small, there's just no excuse for doing that. And the Cardinals are not in a position to compete. You know, like let alone spend that much money on that type of position.
Sorry, I'm blown away the fact that Kiper gave the Jets an A-. I don't think I've ever seen the Jets get an A in anything.
I texted you like that night. I was like, I like what they did, and I know some people were kind of panning them for drafting Sadiq. You know, after investing in tight end, he is a monster.
Yes.
You know, and then going to Cooper.
Yes.
Like at the back end, like I mean, that's like you're
here's
built up.
Here's where I don't like. Yesterday, apparently they were talking to Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Like they asked Gino, like, who do you want to be your backup? Like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
You go get the best backup out there. We don't talk to our guy who's only going to be the starter for 1 year. What? That's such a Jets thing. Like, what? No, do not do that.
But they've set
Russell's
the table.
Cooked. It's over.
Yeah.
It's thanks.
I don't quite get that either.
No.
And I mean, it's certainly a Band-Aid situation for a year with Gino.
And they have 3 first-round picks next year.
And there's no way they're not moving. They're not packaging at least 2 of them.
I don't think they're going to be very good.
But okay, say they're 10-7 or something like that. Let's just say in a wild world,
10-7, we're having parties.
They make the playoffs.
Street here.
Okay, because they've got a lot of young talent. Let's say that they have a great year. You could still bundle all those picks and move up to the top 5 and get a quarterback.
Yes. I'm still fixated on the fact that they can win 10 football games next year when
but worst
haven't
case
made the
scenario,
playoffs in 15 years.
They don't have to use any of that leverage.
That's
they can
true.
draft a quarterback and still have 2 first-rounders.
2 other picks.
Or take 2 guys and then sell off their last first-rounder for another first rounder or, something down the line, in 28. It's pretty cool.
One other news just came down. This is actually really, really big news for Bison football fans. ESPN just put out a press release. The CW Network and ESPN team up to stream more than 800 hours of live events from CW Sports on the ESPN app.
Oh, I love that.
Why that's relevant is because the CW is carrying Mountain West football this fall for the first time. So CW Sports events will exclusively stream live within the ESPN app for all ESPN Unlimited plan subscribers.
Okay.
So here, if you have ESPN Plus, it doesn't mean you get them.
Nope.
You got to have the ESPN Unlimited part of that to get the Mountain West games. But that's important for people out there to know. And I'll spend more time on this later in the show. That's a huge deal.
Big
deal for around here because I think, again, and
how much does that cost? How much does Unlimited cost?
Eric can maybe help me on that one. Okay,
$30.
$30.
I mean, for a season, that's not a bad deal.
So the CW is going to have 15 games this fall of Mountain West football. So, and I venture to guess NDSU is going to get one or a couple on there.
Yeah, $2 a game. That's good.
So that's a big deal.
Oh, $30 a month. So you're looking at 90. Still, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll have the ACC, Pac-12 as well, which, again, there's plenty of people out here that are going to want to watch the Pac-12 just to see because invariably there's going to be crossover between those two conferences. That's going to happen.
Could be a bowl game or two.
Right. So that's a little breaking news there out of
awesome.
ESPN and the CW. So if you're looking for the games, and I'm going to hammer this for the next 3 months because we're 4 months from today as we're playing football.
Which is bizarre.
That CBS sports app you're going to need now the ESPN Unlimited app. You're going to need Fox's app to watch games. I think you're going to need ours, the Kiswi app. But that's how you're going to watch the games.
Yeah. And that's how it is for football, just in general. I mean, there's very it's very few one and dones.
Speaking of one and dones, we got to do that in our next segment. Talk about the NCAA basketball tournament. Thanks for coming by as always, and good luck to your Mariners today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Trafton doing this each and every Wednesday here. Oh, but you got some. You're going to be on TV this weekend.
Yeah. If you guys
forget this,
you can watch on this channel
on Extra
at 5 p.m. on Saturday. The next 3 Saturdays, a show I worked on called Midwest Made, where we highlight teams, athletes, rivalries, coaches from our region exclusively. It'll be 3 half-hour episodes, and you can watch on KSFL.
Awesome.
Extra, DAY. Just look at your listings.
So starting this weekend.
Awesome.
Yep. Good stuff,
5 p.m. on this channel.
Very good. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a break. We come back. They have finally done it. The NCAA has blown up the basketball tournament for some godforsaken reason. We'll discuss it because it ain't going to help the teams in our neck of the woods. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody, on a busy Wednesday morning edition of Hot Mic. For those that say, hey, what about the Wild? Well, let's show you what happened with the Wild last night, playing game number 5 of their series with the Dallas Stars in the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoff series, tied at 2 games apiece. The Wild got Matt Zuccarello back, and boy, did they need him in a big-time way last night. He wasted little time in making an impact in the game. 4 minutes in, Zuccarello scores on a rebound. 1-0 Wild. He had missed the last 4 games of this series after taking an elbow to the head in game 1. Comes back and scores. On a nifty feed, by the way, from Kaprizov. That's his best bud out there. And scores down low. Makes it 1-0 for the Wild. Dallas ties it. Wild get a power play in the second. Matt Boley with a fantastic goal. His 4th already of the series. He had 1 taken away as well in this game. That's a perfect wrist shot. It's 2-1 Minnesota. Wild expand the lead. Mike McCarron, who they picked up late in the season. How about that goal? Trickles through Jake Ottinger. The pride of Lakeville gives it up. It's 3-1 Minnesota. Dallas, though, isn't done. Jason Robertson scores his 5th goal of this series from no angle. That's a power play goal, makes it 3-2. Dallas pulls Ottinger. Kaprizov has to work here for this empty netter, but he gets there. And the Minnesota Wild go into Dallas and win again for the second time in this series. 4-2 the final. Minnesota now leads the best of 7. 3-2 with a chance to clinch on Thursday night. Jesper Wallstedt had 20 saves in net. The Wild were just the better team last night. Just flat out. They were more physical than Dallas. They took the play to the Stars. And now the chance to clinch. They have not had a playoff series win since 2015. Game 6 will be on Thursday night. That's tomorrow. And prepare for like the ultimate sports Thursday for Minnesota sports fans. You got the Twins playing at home tomorrow night. The Wild play at 6:30. The Wolves will play at 8:30 tomorrow night with a chance to go to the second round of the NBA playoffs. All that coming up tomorrow. Big win for the Wild last night. Now, that moderately distracted me from the rather large news that came down about 5 o'clock yesterday from ESPN's Pete Thamel broke the story that after years of discussing this, that it's finally going to come to fruition next year, which is the NCAA basketball tournament is going to expand next year from 68 teams to 76 teams beginning next March. And this is something we have heard for the better part of, I would say, at least 2 years. We know the NCAA president is a fan of expanding the tournament, and it's now going to become reality. So moments like you saw in March where the Bison are celebrating, seeing their name on the board and thinking, well, there's now going to be 8 more bids coming up. They're not going to be going to teams in the Summit League or the Horizon or the Big Sky or the MAC. Even the MAC's probably not going to win. I don't even know if the Missouri Valley will get an extra bid now. These are going to go to teams that are 16 and 14 that play in the SEC, that are maybe even 500, like 17 and 17 and play in the Big Ten, or 19 and 15 and play in the ACC. Those are the teams that are going to be rewarded for this expansion. If you're wondering how it's going to look, this is how it's going to look. And it is not a fan of teams like the Bison or Big Sky teams. Automatically, all the 16 seeds are going to be played in these tournament, in this first opening round. It's not the first round anymore. It's going to be branded as the opening round. 12 games to be played Tuesday and Wednesday. 6 on Tuesday, 6 on Wednesday. All 16 seeds will be put in here. So automatically, you have to still win a game before getting into the main tournament. Half of the 15 seeds are going to go there. Why that's relevant? 6 of the last 8 years, the Summit League representative has been a 15 or a 16 seed. All the 11 seeds will be in there. The 12 seeds as well will be thrown in. So while some will say this is championing, hey, we got more games to watch, frankly, if you fill out a bracket, and I don't, that you're not going to know only 52 of the 64 teams are actually going to be in the bracket when it's announced on Sunday night. Like that perfect clean sheet of paper that has all the teams on it. That's not going to look that way anymore. It means a new TV lineup. This is from Matt Norlander, who is the leading college basketball writer for CBS Sports. He says, while exact tip times and format for the opening round on Tuesday and Wednesday have not yet been determined, the broad template will be to have the first games tip in the late afternoon on the East Coast, sources said, and to stagger the tip times in a triple-header format on multiple networks. The first window would be somewhere in the 3 p.m. Central Time slot, the second closer to 6 p.m., the third pair of tip times slated between 8 and 9. So it's not just True TV anymore. I imagine that Turner's going to use TNT and TBS. Maybe CBS gets involved. Typically, CBS doesn't start its tournament coverage till Thursday. And it's not just going to be Dayton anymore. The first 4, as you've known it, Dunzo. That is gone the way of the dodo bird. Dayton is still going to host, but they're going to have another host either in the Central Time Zone, the Mountain Time Zone, or the Pacific Time Zone to make this a reality. Now, here's the flip side argument to this. For those that say, wow, why are you doing it? It's not even a money grab. They're not getting any more money, it looks like, from the television networks to do this. They're saying it's about inclusion. And for everybody listening on the podcast, I'm using air quotes as sarcastically as possible. What inclusion? 13 Big Ten teams got in last year. Who's getting left out? The teams that stink. If you wanted to be inclusion, then take the second-place team out of the Summit League, which, if that's the case on the women's side, North Dakota State's women's team would have been in. Under this format, being one of the first 4 out, the Bison women would have made it had this been around for this season. So there, you could have that counterpoint. But that's not what's going to happen here. I mean, NDSU had to have a record-setting year, had to win 30 games, basically, to even get a sniff of consideration. And they still got left out. This is going to be about, well, can we get Northwestern in at 16-15? Can we get Arkansas in at 17-14? Can Penn State make the tournament at 19-16? That's what's going to happen here. Don't sell us a line of inclusion and tell us, well, Virginia can make it now at 16-14. Awesome. I'm a fan of more basketball, but I'm not a fan of the 2 16s having to face one another. Now, Tom Wistrcill, who we've had on the show, the commissioner of the Big Sky, he would throw this point at you. He said, I like this because that means our league is going to get guaranteed tournament units because if we win against a 16, we're guaranteed that us and the Big Sky are going to get that money from CBS and TNT and Turner, which that's the counterpoint to it. The Summit League hasn't won a tournament game since the Bison run in the first 4 and then Oral Roberts run to the Sweet 16 in 2021. It's been 5 years since the league has won a game. Big Sky has gone on, almost 15 years, probably longer than maybe 20 years the Big Sky hasn't won an NCAA men's tournament game. So that's the counterpoint to that argument on expansion is a good thing. To me, sure, it's going to be great to have games on, but what are we getting? If you're going to tell me we got Northwestern facing Cal at 3:00 on that Tuesday. Okay, it'll be on as background noise. You know, if you had a chance for more quote unquote Cinderellas, like the second place team, like Belmont. Belmont won 30 games this year, and they got left out of the dance because they didn't win the Missouri Valley. If you're telling me Belmont's going to get in, then we can have a discussion. But that's not what's going to happen here. And they know it. So that's coming. It still has to be signed off from. There's like 8 different committees. If you thought the committees to sign off on NDSU getting playoff eligible for football this fall, they had a lot. There's about 5 of them they got to go through here to make this official. But if there's this many people reporting on it and it's been this socialized, it's going to happen. And it's in the not-too-distant future on that. On the women's side, you may have a potential there where you can get more of the quote-unquote Cinderellas or different at-larges. Again, like I said, NDSU would have been in had this been implemented for this fall, or winter, excuse me. But I don't foresee you're going to see a bunch more mid-majors getting in now. You're going to have a bunch of the mediocre. And what, by the way, happens to the NIT? All those teams that would go to the NIT are now going to the NCAA. What are we going to have there? I guess college sports in their ever-ending quest to expand, because football wants to go to 24 for its playoff. NCAA tournament, we've heard forever, wants to expand. They wanted to go to 96. Well, here they are at 76. Maybe that's not too far off down the road. We'll break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. For you Wolves fans out there that are excited, hey, we got a chance to advance, the potential of facing this guy in the second round should scare you. Hot Mike wraps up hour 1 after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Our guest, he's always on time. He's even earlier. You're on the Bill Parcells clock, aren't you, Grant Olson?
Absolutely, yes.
But on time is like, what, 10 minutes early?
Exactly, correct.
So before we do football, I know how great of a basketball mind you are. You want to see some, did you watch any of the NBA playoffs last night?
I've been watching a little bit,
Yeah.
yes. I watched a little bit of Spurs Thunder last night, and then I was watching hockey. I was watching the Wild.
You watched the Wild win?
I was watching the Wild. I didn't make it all the way through the third. I got to go to bed early.
Yeah.
I got stuff in the morning.
So,
but I watched.
I'm on the Wemby train here, and unfortunately, because the Spurs are on the same side of the bracket as the Wolves, so if Minnesota's able to win tomorrow night, they got this guy. I mean, Wembanyama's just a freak. He's a unicorn. He's amazing to watch.
It really is. I don't know how often I've sat down and actually watched, but just appreciating his skill for being that size. And then I'm watching other people try to defend him, and they're getting these fouls called. Like, what are you supposed to do?
They can't. I mean, his dad is in the state. Look, watch this. He just goes and dunks it here.
Yep.
His dad, by the way, is all of 6'9". So if you're wondering where the 7'5" came from, it's that. And it's not just him. They have De'Aaron Fox, who's really, really good.
Yep.
Stephon, watch this block here on this one. He sends us to the 8th row. I mean, what are you going to do? Right?
I don't even know if you attempt any shots in the paint. Do you mean seriously? Why would you? Like, unless you can dunk it, don't attempt a shot in the
By
paint.
the way, are you a fan of? They stole the beating of the drum from the Vikings. They do the skull chant. It's a different one in San Antonio. Granted, the Vikings stole that from the Icelandic soccer team a few years ago, but
absolutely.
the Vikes have made the skull thing their own.
It's become a really big thing. I remember, funny, people talk about it now, and I'm like, I didn't have the skull chant growing up as a Vikings fan.
No. So the Spurs won, so they moved on. So here's the updated bracket now. This is in the Eastern Conference where the Magic have a chance to eliminate Detroit, which is crazy, as the 1 seed.
Yep.
The Knicks won last night, so they're up 3-2. 76ers held off McFeely's Celtics, so now that's going to go to a 6-game. That's tomorrow night. Meanwhile, in the West, already Oklahoma City swept out Phoenix, and the Spurs won last night. So the Wolves, can they get it done tomorrow night? Shorthanded. If they win, they'll get San Antonio. You know some people. Can you get tickets for Game 6 tomorrow?
That's a great question. So I need the Wolves to win so I can go down.
Yes,
and
right?
when I go
You're going recruiting
next week,
next
I need a
week.
game to go to. So we need a win. Yes.
Oh man, that's electric. If they can, it's funny. You talk about when going to games where the Vikes were good. The Wolves, you growing up, they were
Awesome.
good with Garnett, and
Really
then it
good.
fell off a table.
Really good.
Yeah.
I mean, going to games and watching Kevin Garnett, I
Awesome,
loved it.
right?
I absolutely loved it.
Yes.
And just, yeah.
So we'll see if Minnesota can do it shorthanded coming up in their game tomorrow night with Denver. That's an 8:30 start there. The other series in the West, as Oklahoma City sitting around waiting. Likely the Lakers are going to win with 43-year-old LeBron James, which is ridiculous as well that he's doing what he's doing at that age, right?
Also incredibly fascinating. Yes,
just
it is.
crazy. So the Lakers will get Houston. That game is tonight. If the Lakers win, then you've got OKC and the Lakers in the second round. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Although we'll see if Luka can come back.
Yep.
He's still out. And then if the Wolves win, it'll be Minnesota and San Antonio in the other side, which you'd have Rudy going up against Wembanyama, which would be
interesting,
right?
Yeah. If Ant's back, all of a sudden that's interesting.
I
to
feel
me.
a
If
little bit
he's
better
not,
about
it's
it,
hard.
right?
Yeah.
If he's not, that might be 4 and done for the Wolves.
Yep.
On that. Grant Olson's here. When we come back, how about we chat some Bison football? Does that
Let's
sound
do
like
it.
a plan?
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
We're going to chat wrapping up the spring and looking ahead now because I hate to tell them this, 4 months from today, you're playing a football game. Did you know that?
Yes, I actually did know that one. That's the one
All
that
right,
I
you
knew.
did know. We'll do that when hour 2 of Hot Mic starts after this.
This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Since the pick, he went 14 of 14, 121 yards. And now can Kansas State find a miracle downfield? Ball looks to be caught, picked. North Dakota State. Olson, the middle linebacker, with the interception.
We just said a few minutes ago that we hadn't heard his name a whole lot tonight. Well, you know what? He comes up big when they need him.
19 seconds away, Joey, from the first season opening loss under Bill Snyder since 1981.
How about that? Just that play, what comes right to mind when you see that?
Oh, what a fun memory. What just the funnest. Like one of
Freaking
those,
hot.
like, just, I remember catching the ball and just like, don't drop it. Don't let him rip it away. Just like hold on for it for dear life. So like, I had no thoughts of celebrating. Like for the longest time, I'm on the ground for, I felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
Just don't, like, no matter what, make sure you end up with this ball.
The play-by-play guy didn't know who had it either. He waited for about 5
Yeah.
seconds before 34 came out of the pile with it.
Yep.
What was that, going to the sideline knowing this is over? We just beat Kansas State.
Man, it's just incredible. Hard to describe. I'll remember the joy, the excitement of giving people high fives. It's like that sort of a feeling doesn't come around a whole lot in life, and that's a really fun moment. And grateful to have one of those.
Oh,
you
man. You're going to have one pick?
Absolutely.
That's the time to have it, right?
Good time to have it, no doubt.
Well, because obviously Brock's touchdown is celebrated, but that didn't end the game. There was still 30 seconds left that they could go and get a field goal to tie it until you guys made a play.
Absolutely. Yes. So, it's funny, just even like little things like the behind-the-scenes story of some of that stuff is, recognizing the formation, and I knew what route concept was coming. I should not have been there. Like, the call that we had, the middle linebacker is not supposed to be over on the numbers on the far sideline at all. But I knew where Colton Hegel was going to be. I knew what Kyle Emanuel was going to do. Like, I knew that the quarterback was going to delay a little bit and get pressure. All these factors. So, anyway, a lot of fun memories.
All right, we wanted to do that. I got one more for you. I'm going to have to spoil. We'll do that later on. First off, it's great to have you in. Spring ball's officially in the books. So tell us for your perspective what the 30 days were like up at practice.
Yeah, great question. So, had a defensive unit meeting this morning, and kind of what I covered with those guys is I was really pleased with a lot of our top veterans. I thought that guys like Logan Larson and Keenan Wilson, our top dogs, they performed. And they competed, and they got better. That's the thing that I'm excited about. And I told every player that when your best players that have proven it from the year before, Darius Givens, are coming out and practicing hard and improving, then nobody's got an excuse to not be doing those things. So when our best players are the hardest workers, our team's got a shot to be pretty good. So number one, starting with there. Now the middle group, we've got such a big chunk of guys that are fighting for playing time right now. What's going to separate those guys, and I talked to them again this morning, same thing, is just MAs. We have too many missed assignments. Okay, we got a lot of talent. We got a lot of guys that are going and making some plays. We missed a couple, but MAs is what hurt us during spring ball, where all of a sudden we're not on the same page. We miss a swap communication or whatever that is, and then all of a sudden you give up a running back wheel route for a touchdown.
I look at, specifically up the middle, defensive tackle, you just mentioned those two guys. The back end at safety, you're loaded there.
Yep.
Linebacker is what I wanted, middle linebacker, because you had a guy in Nathaniel Stanley you talked to me about him, I want to say 4 years ago, and everything was proven correct with what you said there. Where are you at with middle linebacker heading into right now? Would you say outside of spring football?
Yeah, well, great question. So right now where we're at, and part of it is just understanding that who we're going to be playing and whatnot. So my message to the entire linebacking core has been, guys, that the starters against Air Force might not be the starters against Hawaii. We're always going to put in whoever's best for the situation. So if there's a situation we need to go to nickel personnel or we got to move Donovan Woolen around, we're going to do those things. So everybody's got a lot of competition and a lot of hard work ahead of us. But right now I do really like the combination that we've got inside. Keith Williams is doing a really good job, and Oliver Luck's really showing up and making some plays. He's grown.
Saw that during the end of the spring ball.
He's doing a nice job. In the last week and a half in particular, he started making a few more plays of maybe it's a tackle here or something there that maybe he had missed previously. But anyway, he did a nice job improving. And then you look at some other guys. Like, I'm excited about Gavin Excel and where we're at with those potential Mike kind of bodies. But what's going to happen, I think that's interesting in the linebacker group, is that, okay, you've got a proven guy in Donovan Woolen. Well, you've got some really talented athletes in Alex Elliott, Peter Haugo, and Ray James, and that's not me naming them in an order. That's just three talented athletes. I can name them in any order. Don't read into it. But one of those three guys, okay, is Donovan going to move? Are they going to move? What are we going to do based on game plan, who we're playing, formationally, opponent, run game? Again, Air Force compared to Hawaii is completely different. So those are the fun chess pieces I'm really excited about. I don't want to give all of the cards away right now and show them to you right this minute, but just overall, I'm excited about an entire group there of guys that are talented players.
Gavin Sell, who's got another guy, I think, in that Logan Kopp, in terms of you and I talking about him early on and like, hey, keep an eye. And then I saw him several times during the last month, including in the final practice on Friday. He tracked down Braylon Tolliver and I think Miles Mitchell from the other side of the field. I'm like, whoa, that popped to me.
Absolutely. Well, that's what you're looking for at a young guy. You want to see him flash. That's kind of one of the things of just, as I'm judging these guys, who's flashing and going and making some nice plays, and he did that. And there's a couple times in some scrimmages where it's like, well, kind of in the wrong spot, but he made a TFL, right? And that's one of the marks of a great linebacker. I don't care who it is. All of our great linebackers that we've had, and you can go back a lot of years, but I can go back to Logan Kopp, I can go back to James Kaiser, you can go back to a Jabril Cox, and on farther than that, a Nick DeLuca and an MJ Stumpf. All those guys at times, they knew when they could take a chance and go make a play. And that was fun to see out of a freshman just in spring ball.
Alex Elliott's a guy who has basically not played a football game almost 4 years, Grant. When it comes around to this fall, what is that going to be like, even for you to trust him? It's like, man, he hasn't played a competitive game since basically high school.
Yeah. Well, that's something I don't want to get as much caught up in the fact of like how we practice. I mean, we went live this spring, and what stunk was him getting injured this last year. So the first couple days, it was going through some of the, just getting back into football, kind of just silly mistakes, and then we got that corrected. But just even in the spring game, I'm like, he made a handful of tackles. I'm like, man, that's exactly what I'm looking for right there. So he's getting a chance to play live football in practice, and we're going to make sure he gets a ton more reps of it coming up. Ray James is another guy coming off the shoulder injury. He needs live football reps. So we got to do as much of it we possibly can in fall camp, and I'm excited about those guys to see how they do.
Watching Ray against the Citadel and Tennessee State, I'm like, okay. I mean, just his wingspan alone, he's able to, he's able to get the guys that just other players can't.
Absolutely. Well, I remember I told this to Coach Balasek one time because I don't think he believed me or something when I talked about it. But Ray's got, I personally measured it myself one day. It was a 34-inch arm.
You told me that.
That's an NFL left tackle arm. That's incredible. So he definitely is able to do some of those things, and he flashed a couple times as well. It's just hard to say, hey, this guy's the next great Bison when he doesn't have a chance to go live. So anyway, he's right there in the mix fighting for playing time with everybody else.
Peter Haugo's name is another one that keeps coming up when you and I chatter. How was his spring?
I think it was good. I think that he's right in the same spot that a lot of guys are at, where first off, the first thing you're doing at linebacker at NDSU is you're learning the what to do, and then we start improving the how to do it as far as your fundamentals. Once you do those two things, which he's done, every linebacker makes a big jump. So I'm telling you guys right now, Peter's going to have a much better fall than spring. He still missed all that time when we had him at running back. Like, that's something that we got to factor in. So anyway, that's kind of my progression of just, okay, when I see a linebacker learning the what to do, and then we start mastering the fundamentals, now we start going and making plays. He's right on the cusp of being a guy that's going to start going and making a lot of plays in a hurry.
You mentioned Keith Williams, who's the transfer from Cornell. He certainly looks the part. How would you say his first 3 months as a Bison have gone?
As far as coming in and learning a new defense, on top of that, the most difficult position in the defense, as far as Mike linebacker, really, really good. Like he had a handful of MAs that's just, okay, well, shoot, that's just a young Mike linebacker that just needs more reps. So, man, I know he's probably sitting there at times during practice like, oh my goodness, Coach Olson's got to comment every single play. Like, well, that's what happens when you play Mike linebacker at NDSU is that there's all these things that I've gotten beaten on, and then I'm going to make sure that you're not giving up those plays. So, but he flashed a couple times. I mean, if you asked our offensive lineman right now, just who do you not want to see running downhill in your gap, Keith's probably the number one guy. I mean, he lit a couple people up this spring, and that was fun to watch. So he flashed in a good way.
Yeah, he did it on Friday, and I looked at Kyle. I'm like, okay, that's what you want out of that spot.
Yes.
It reminded me of what you did in your playing days, that going downhill and tackling a running back in their spot.
Absolutely. Well, he's a big physical dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some broad shoulders now, and he is dense. Like, there's some times that he doesn't even have a perfect hit on you, and he'll light some people up and get some extension. So he's going to be a physical presence that we need. It probably reminds me similar to what Marcus Gully was able to do for us. Marcus just had the amazing ability that he was just so dense and thick that people bounced off of him. People bounce off of Keith Williams. It's amazing. They really do.
The defense as a whole, I think the perception, I would say, on the outside looks as of now the strength of the team. How would you evaluate totally where your defense is at now after spring practice is done?
Well, the thing that I'll say to everybody is that every spring ball you probably should feel that way or you are in trouble on defense. And I say that like offense always takes a little bit more time. It just does. Yeah. Like, people say that and it's like, well, why? And I'm like, well, I'm not an offensive coach. I'm not exactly sure. But I watched Nathan Hayes continue to improve. And as he continues to find the timing with those other receivers and tight ends and all that, our offense is going to keep getting better. And they gave us they got after us a couple times. It's not like it was only ever one-sided. Coach Larson and I talk about it all the time that we know we've got a pretty good team when it goes back and forth in spring and fall camp, offense, defense. Defense has a great day, and then the next day the offense comes out and rips our faces off. Well, that's a good thing. We've got a good team. So anyway, I don't feel in any capacity like we've got an incredible defense and an average offense. I'm sitting there like, guys, I'm stinking stressed going against our offense. They're really good, just for the record, okay?
Yeah.
So
we had Chance Tucker on to start the show from the transfer coming in corner at Notre Dame. Give us the backstory on that and how this came about.
Yeah, well, just I think it's something that as we've had a couple injuries and then we're looking at our 105 roster spots, we're always looking if we can improve the team, it's our job to do it. Yeah. And I've appreciated because our leadership has told that to Coach Polasek of just, Coach, you owe it to everybody on the team not to worry about one individual, one position, but if somebody can help us and they're going to fit our culture, then we should bring them in and that guy can help. So to me, the biggest thing is I got to know Chance. I'm like, man, this guy's a really high character young man. He's got a really good football brain. He's obviously been coached extremely well.
Right.
And he's got some darn talent. And unfortunately, he's dealt with some injuries. But he's a guy that I think brings something different to the room as far as a little bit. He's an older guy. He's got more experience. And also, he's a big dude. Like, I'm standing next to him. Like, he looks almost a little bit more like a safety linebacker at times than a corner. Okay? Yeah. Well, that can add something to us, especially because we are young in that room right now. We've got a lot of talent, but we've got some young guys. And part of that young guys is also just new guys. Well, that's what happens, unfortunately, when you got to go in the portal, and I'm really glad we got these guys. But just schematically, there's a lot of things that I'm going to make sure that we're doing is we're going to make sure that we keep it simple so those guys can play fast.
Is there? You're not going to give me the kitchen sink, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is there a chance that a safety could play linebacker? You have such depth at the safety room that, hey, we got to get Will Style on the field. How do we do that?
Yes, absolutely. So number one, that's going to be situation dependent and then game plan dependent.
Okay.
But that's been in my mind for a while now. We've had good conversations about those things. I think it kind of remains to see, okay, well, how do the rest of the linebackers continue to develop? And then which safety and what combination and how can we move those guys around? And to me, the good news about that, and I just had an individual meeting with everybody on the defense in the last couple of days, is that there's a lot of guys that are excited to compete. They don't want to be in a logjam. And I've told them, if you work your tail off and you earn it, you got a chance to get to play, and we'll find a way for you. And I think that's lit a fire underneath some guys, and they're excited about that. And that's going to make the rest of our team better. So, yes, we will be ready for situations like that.
One last thing before we break. We haven't talked defensive end. You've got McCaslin back, who's played. Stenbrotten, I thought, was coming on like a train at the end of last season.
Yes.
Have those two guys back. Vic seems like he's certainly taken the next step in Vic Isley. And then you brought in two transfers. Tell me about defensive ends and what you saw this spring.
Yeah, so you named the top three right now for sure. And that's where the other guys are talented. It's just the classic right now, their heads are swimming. We put in all of the blitzes and all the coverages and all the twists and all those different things that we have in the package. So the first 5 days, all of a sudden, their guys are looking really good, and then we start adding stuff, and stuff got complicated for a couple of the new guys. But they're going to be okay. They're smart, and they work hard. But right now, I think you nailed the top three for sure. Man, I'm really pleased with our pass rush right now. Extremely pleased. And those guys, what I like about it is that they're rushing as a unit. I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, is that it's not just one guy going and getting sacks. It's playing together and keeping the quarterback in the pocket. So I'm really pleased with that.
To have the ability to come in and do that, especially because it didn't happen in Europe when you were playing, that to get a guy come in January and join the team, it just didn't. You know, Andre Martin came and joined in 2012, but that was in the summer, and he was ready to go in fall camp. So how difficult is it when you get here in January, and you've got 3 months, and bam, we're getting ready for fall camp after that?
Well, I think that's part of the magic for us, is we do everything in our power that if we're going to take a transfer, especially knowing certain positions, like that guy has to be
here for
in
spring.
You got to be here for spring, or it's going to be really challenged. You know, I think there's certain positions that everybody recognizes, like, okay, you know, offensive line is really mentally complex. That's going to be really difficult. And our defense as linebacker and safety are the positions that if you miss spring ball, it's going to be a challenge to get to play.
Yeah. I look at it, though, you've got, 30-some-odd guys coming here in June. Have you even earmarked, and you don't have to name names, maybe a couple incoming freshmen say, I think they could help us if they're able to catch on in the first week or two?
Yeah, great question. I think that it's the opposite of that exact same thing, where it's like, okay, well, linebacker is so hard to learn right away. You almost never expect a linebacker to come in and play. Well, all of a sudden, if you get on a corner or a wide receiver or a running back, those are just typically some of the positions that are able to do it. Like, it's like D-line. People ought to think, oh man, D-line's simple and D-line's easy, right? Like, well,
just go and rush the quarterback, right?
It happens fast, man, and it's difficult. And you got to be a grown man to play on NDSU's D-line. So that's a position that maybe be simple, but it's physically really challenging. So anyway, you never know, but I do think that there's a couple guys. I know we recruited a lot of corners right now that are really good athletes that if you told me one of those guys is able to play as a true freshman, I would believe you and I'd put my money on that.
Well, Deron Russell could probably play basketball anywhere as well, right? Like, how did you guys get him? He's a fantastic basketball player.
Man, good question. Give Coach Johnson a lot of credit. Give Coach Crutchley for being the area recruiter. Coach Polsek being really involved. I'm personally pretty darn impressed with that one. That guy's got a chance to be special.
All right. By the way, I'm going to embarrass you. You played as a true freshman at linebacker. So when did you say, I think I know what's going on?
That's a great question. The defense was a little simpler back then, so let me just go ahead and say that. We've added, as college football has changed, things have changed defensively. It's harder now than what it was back then. I would say probably after maybe the second or third week. I remember we did a scrimmage. And I certainly missed a couple plays, but just being in on a couple tackles was like, okay, I think I can do this. And I had no idea. I didn't know where our team stood in the hierarchy of college football at that time. And then all of a sudden we go and we beat Kansas, and it's like, wow, maybe I do actually fit in. I think everybody on that team at some point had that same experience when we were able to go down and beat Kansas.
Absolutely.
That was so confidence for everyone.
Let's break. We got much more with Grant. We'll talk some more spring ball. I want to talk about the Mountain West as well, from his experience, from his time with Coach Bull at Wyoming. Much more with Grant Olson here in studio. Back after this.
This one. There is Olson with the school record for tackles today.
Leading this football game 14-7.
They've been led by Grant Olson, the junior from Plymouth, Minnesota, former wrestler in high school as well, and he has been just about everywhere in this.
They won us that game today. There's no doubt about it in my mind. If they didn't play as well as they played, I don't think we win. And I'm just so very proud to be a part of this team and to be able to play behind those guys. Truly is a blessing.
He battled out the whole game, and I mean, we just expect it from him now. He always has big games.
He's a smart, resourceful football player, and I thought he played great. I tell you, their fullback is a great running back. I mean, a great running back, and I thought our guys did a good job, and Grant did a nice job against him.
Boy, you got a compliment from Coach Bull. That's pretty darn good,
Absolutely.
right? Huh?
Yes, it is.
I forgot you got a shiner after that game.
Honestly, I had completely forgotten about it. I'm sitting there looking around like, oh, man, I didn't look good after that. Like, I was a little beat up.
Well, I don't know if you remember, I interviewed you live on the field. Maybe it was like 25 minutes after the game, and you were physically exhausted. Was that as tiring a game as you've ever played?
As I remember, without a doubt, yes.
29 tackles, man.
Yes.
So.
Well, I didn't even know that. Nobody told me. You told me. Hey, I'm sure you know this already. And I'm like, I did not know that. Thank you for sharing.
But Eric Breitenstein, who is up for the College Football Hall of Fame, by the way.
Wow.
You tackled him at least 27 of those times, I imagine, in that
game.
Had
to have been. Yeah, they certainly fed that guy. Man, really good football team, really good football player.
So I bring that up because they ran the triple option, and triple option is going to be one of the teams you're going to face with Air Force. From your time at Wyoming, I know Tim has talked to me about this as well. Just what is so unique about it? Is it because so few teams still do it?
I think so. I mean, they legitimately are running plays that there's a couple that are like, okay, our offense runs that play, but then there's others that's like, we don't have a single player in our program that's ever had to defend that play before, since high school at least. So that's just unique. And then the speed of it, the amount of cut blocks by the offensive line is huge. Now, what's interesting, because I know people have asked, like bringing up some of the old Georgia Southern, Wofford games, and the offenses are different because of some of the cutting rules that have changed. So they've had to evolve a little bit. That's something that Bison fans will be wondering about. Okay, how similar is it to those games that I might remember?
Probably not.
No, it's still a little bit different. They've done a good job of evolving the offense, but just things get on you so fast. The offensive linemen are completely different stances. It's going to be a fun battle up front.
You were there. Did you go to Colorado Springs, or did they come to Laramie?
In 2015, we went there.
What is that? What do you remember about that experience?
Well, I remember I'm going to the press box, and I remember there's 3,000 cadets screaming in your face, and they're really nice about it. But oh man, they talked a little bit of trash.
Really?
Absolutely. Those cadets got after me.
Fantastic.
I loved it. The hair on the back of my neck was standing up. I loved it, and I just remember that particular team was really good, and they put it on us pretty good at the end.
What other teams that are still in the league do you remember facing when you were at Wyoming?
Yeah, so New Mexico.
Okay.
So certainly remember going and playing New Mexico. Obviously Air Force. Now Wyoming, just obviously being there and playing all the games at Wyoming. I didn't get a chance to go down to Hawaii and never played San Jose State. So we missed those particular games. So that's where I think it's a little bit different for sure.
Well, when Craig was back a couple weeks ago, he was telling McFeely, Kolpak, and I about the Hawaii deal is not an average road trip. Is that something, have you guys even started planning on that, or is that still to come?
I know that Coach Polasek has been looking at that, along with Derek Lucan and all those other guys. And I appreciate it. It's one of those like, Grant, you don't worry about it. You just get us ready to play those guys. I said, perfect. I don't want to be the logistics guy on this one.
Have you looked at some of the other, like the returning players in the league? Is that have you got that far down the road, or has that come now?
A little bit of coming now, but have had a big chance to do it. So like defensively, everybody took a couple opponents and let's just spread out. Air Force. Like all my attention started on Air Force. I'm going to grab
game
those
number one in
guys
the league. So
be ready for them. But like I've had a chance to look at UNLV. I've had a chance to look at Wyoming. I've had a chance to look at New Mexico. Just even also from a little bit of a defensive perspective. Part of it, believe it or not, that I tried to do is I want to familiarize myself with the defense because I knew for the last however many years, they're running that play against South Dakota because of the front that they run, or against South Dakota State because of a coverage adjustment. We aren't going to see that because we handle it different. So all these factors that really allow you to really hone in on the game plan, because I knew the defensive teams in our conference so well, that actually was almost one of my first priorities of who do we want to scout ourselves against. So actually, I've spent a lot of time doing that as well.
What do you take away from that, from what you saw from teams defensively of what they're doing in the league?
Well, good question. I think that one thing that's probably a little bit unique compared to our conference and what we've used in the past is I think there's a lot more teams that because it's a little bit more open, a little bit more air raid, a little bit more spread, there's teams that do a little bit more odd structure to even structure compared to you can line up, you can watch NDSU, South Dakota State, et cetera, for a long time, and you know there's always going to be 4 down front. So those are some different aspects of like, this play is not going to show up against us because we're not going to be aligned in this structure. So anyway, that's kind of the advanced part of it that we're working through.
Offensively, I mean, I think, again, we've heard this, we've talked about it, but the skill position guys are just going to be such a different animal. Has that jumped off the tape when you've seen it so far?
You know, I think they're really good, but in the same breath, I'm also going to say, well, man, we've been going against Bryce Lance, and before that, we used to have to go against Christian Watson. So
very true.
What my experience has been is that the different levels in football as you go up, like why is the SEC so dominant or the Big Ten so dominant? It's the O-line, D-line. It's not the difference in the skill. There's great skill everywhere that you go. And yes, they've got phenomenal skill, but you can go to Division II and Division III football because I've been to those places and seen their guys. They've got speed as well. The O-line, D-line in the trenches is where elite football is always separated. It's why the Eagles have been good and why they always keep investing all their money there, right? So that's what I'm seeing as far as I think we've got a shot to be successful because we've got a great offense and defensive line, and we're going to continue to be built up front.
Well, you saw in last week's NFL draft, who's going in the first 15 picks was offensive linemen and defensive linemen, right? That's who the team's valued.
Every time,
right.
and they're the hardest thing to find, and it's the reason they're the most sought after every single place that you go. It's why you know, you get these big guys from North Dakota, these local guys that all of a sudden it's like, oh man, teams from out of the area are coming in to recruit North Dakota linemen because they've seen our success and they know how good they are.
You got time for a couple, 10 more minutes?
Absolutely.
All right, let's break. Come back a little bit more here with Grant. We'll talk some recruiting stuff, some non-football talk as well. We'll do that here when we come back. Grant Olson joining us in studio, buys a defensive coordinator. Back on Hot Mic right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. With can I out you and say frequent viewer of Hot Mic, Grant Olson?
Absolutely,
is that it?
Can. As I'm driving home, you guys are right on my YouTube feed. The algorithm,
Boom,
algorithm is hot
All
for
right.
Hot Mic.
I want to bring you back conversation you and I had pregame. I believe we're in Grand Forks, and we're talking about college football as a whole, where NDSU's place in it, and I'm probably going to speak out of turn, but you and I were talking like I want to be in the FBS. I want to be an FBS coach.
Yes.
The FBS came to you. What do you? I mean, think about that. When I was thinking about that our conversation we had shortly after I heard that NDSU was moving to the Mountain West. Like, wow, the FBS actually came to you instead of you having to go there.
Yeah, really excited about that. I think just the perfect combination for a lot of us. And our players, everybody in the program is excited about that. I don't think there's one person that didn't want to make this move and go compete at the highest level.
Yeah. And you wanted to coach at the highest level. That was basically my point of it. That's what you wanted to do.
Absolutely. I think who doesn't want to get a chance to do that? If you asked any college coach or even high school coach in the country and said, if you had the opportunity to go coach in the Super Bowl, would you like to do it? I think the answer is yes. Now, I think the beauty for us is like you have so much love for NDSU, the city of Fargo, the state of North Dakota. So to be able to be an FBS coach and get to coach at a place you dearly love, it's a win-win.
Yeah. So what's the next few weeks, months look like for you now that spring football's done?
Yeah, so going recruiting number one, and then number two, really starting to put together our fall camp plans. Like I've already got pretty much the first 12 days completely organized, and I think I'm actually probably through 16 as far as order of defenses and whatnot that we're going to put in. You know, Coach Polisek's done a great job. He always gets this stuff, 4 months in advance. That's, I think, something people don't realize is like fall camp's already pretty much planned out in some ways. So we're going to keep on going with that. But then really starting to dive into our first couple opponents. So Air Force is always important because it's a unique animal. I think everybody in the country, if you're defending triple option, you always spend time on it, and we certainly have as well. But now it's okay. Now we got to start looking at Jacksonville State and Fordham. We got to look at those first couple opponents and make sure we got a plan for them.
I want to hit on a couple bigger picture college football, college items. The 5-for-5 eligibility rules really seem like it's going to get fast-tracked. How does that change, A, what you just said, you're going to go out recruiting, that, wait a minute, I might have guys that are eligible next year that I didn't think will be eligible next year.
Well, that becomes a major problem, and that's where COVID was so darn difficult to organize in the fact of your scholarship numbers and your fundraising, and it just created a massive headache. And that's one that I just like, can we just pick some rules and stick with them for a change? Can the rules be the rules?
Yeah.
And if they are, all of a sudden our job will get a little bit easier in a hurry. So I'm not trying to tell anybody what the right thing is to do is. That's above my pay grade, but it would just be nice to get a set of rules and live by them.
How would you feel, like, no red shirt, no medical, like, hey, if you have a guy that comes in fall camp, we think can play, and it's not gonna, you got 5 years. So does that change how your approach to him?
I think so in some ways. All of a sudden, you're willing to travel some of those guys a little bit more. I do think that opens up your classic. Like previously, you're so paranoid. You play a guy one play and you burn his red shirt and you can't do that. Well, now all of a sudden, you've got that development opportunity. You ever are fortunate enough to have a home game that you get up on some teams, get those young guys in there and get them developing. So I like the thought of the rule. But at the same breath, I'm like, let's just pick a rule and stick with it for a change.
Well, you mentioned that. I immediately think of Brad Ambrosius because he had to play in your senior year of 2013, where if the new rule, he could have redshirted and kept that extra year if he played 4 games because you guys were banged up at one particular, and he had to come in and play for a few plays.
Absolutely. It's little things like that I think the previous rules were certainly always had a great intention. I genuinely do believe that. And nowadays with portals and with injuries and with roster limits, well, all of a sudden now roster limits, it's not like the NFL where we can run through 15 quarterbacks at 15 get injured and you can just go hire somebody off the street. Like the team's the team. Well, all of a sudden, we want more games and we want less roster and you can't replace your roster, well, then they need to open up those things to give kids opportunities so we're not hurting them in the future.
I'm interested there's so many things on. It's specifically they're looking at college football on this. Also, is when you were talking earlier, they're going to start the season earlier. That's going to become reality in 2027. That week 0 is going to become week 1. How do you feel about that?
I'm very cautious about it. My reasoning that I'm cautious and where the part that says I don't know if I like this is we want to add more games. We want to extend the season earlier, and we want to extend the season later. Well, these guys aren't pure professional athletes. They go to school. We don't just do treatment all day, every day. Like you're in the NFL, you go to your meetings, you go to practice, and then they spend the next 4 or 5 hours taking care of their bodies. These guys got to go to class. So wait a minute, are we students that got engineering majors to get and degrees at NDSU, or are we professional athletes? And that's the part that I think is just, at some point we're still in college and things need to be based off the academic calendar, and that's where things are so difficult. Like we're getting ready for national championship games, and you're trying to figure out if guys are going in the portal or not. That's just ridiculous.
How is it this year without the spring portal? Would that add some years back to your life? Do you have to worry about that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was really nice in the fact of once you kind of set your roster is your roster. I think it should be based on an NFL model of, listen, here's when the season ends, here's when the draft is, here's when free agency is, and then boom, you get to a certain point and your roster's your roster.
So would you like it at this time of year? Would you prefer it now, as at the end of? Because I was of that mindset. Polisic and I talked about that. Yeah. I would like it. But here's the rub on it. Then you're paying guys who you know aren't going to be on your team from January to April because you know they're going to be gone.
I'm probably indifferent in the fact of, to me, it's 6-1, half a dozen the other. They both have their pluses and minuses. I do like one portal window. What I do know is I like one portal window, and then once you determine your roster, great, now you have an opportunity. Certainly the spring window is like, well, if you have a chance to lose half your team in the spring, then why in the world are we doing spring practice?
Correct.
Then it doesn't make any sense. Well, wait a minute then. Well, what about these kids like, if we want them to graduate or we want them to go to school and class ends in May, well, now all of a sudden we got to realize they're signing up for never going home to see their family because now we have to practice all May and all June, but then we're not going to train. So I think chance of injury is going to go up.
Right.
I mean, there's so many things that are just a mess that I'm very thankful for people like Craig Bull that are working really hard to fix these ends, and I know they understand those things. So I'm not here to complain, but just recognize there's some difficulties.
It sounds like they will tweak spring football so you have maybe like OTAs in June and July. How do you feel about that?
I think whatever you're willing to give up, you got to be willing to take some things.
Yeah.
And I do think that there needs to be limits. No different than the NFL. You can't play football 365 days out of the year. Yep. I think that the NCAA needs to make sure, like, okay, if you're not allowed to practice during this window, you're not allowed to practice. And then they need to actually enforce that. I mean, every coach in the country hears stories about programs, closing the doors and doing nonsense.
Correct, yeah.
Like, well, that's not fair.
No.
Like, what I appreciate about the NFL is they have cameras in every single building, and there's somebody there making sure the rules aren't being broken. And I wouldn't mind some more enforcement. Just that way you clean up those crazy stories you hear about.
I have to ask here, you mentioned you're going recruiting heading the Twin Cities way. This was the first fall, this past one, that up here, Moorhead fans got to experience 6A football. You lived it. What is it about it? I thought it was, the playoff format is fantastic. I think, and I was telling viewers of the show, like, this is something you're going to really enjoy. It's a 32-team bracket, and I think for, like, Wayzata came up here.
Yep.
Eden Prairie's coming up here this fall, which I think is going to be huge, Grant. Like, Maple Grove came up here. Minnetonka's coming up here. You guys aren't ready for that. 3.5-hour bus rides, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that's interesting. I'm like, number one, it's funny now to talk about and look at, Moorhead's almost in some ways operating like a college. I mean, going and taking a 3-hour trip for all your road games. That's kind of fantastic.
What was the furthest road trip you had in high school for when you guys played?
One game. You know what? Depending on the year, one time we went to Rochester, and then this was back when the state high school league did not.
Oh, you play out-state schools?
We had to go play an out-of-state school because people didn't. The whole Classic Lake or Lake Conference and that whole mess. That's the other thing that I've appreciated about Minnesota. Just this is who you're going to play.
Yep.
Tough it up.
Yep.
Let's go compete. Yep. And I actually appreciate that. But the tournament format, I agree, it's fantastic.
Just to see, and the fact of you could be like St. Michael. I think was a 6, and they ran off 4 games and made it to the semifinal round or the quarterfinal round.
Yes.
Which is when if you don't have a great regular season, you can still save it in the postseason.
Absolutely, I think that's absolutely awesome. To me, it's almost a little bit like March Madness, right?
It's
like, it's a single elimination tournament, and everybody's in it, and here we go.
So off of that, I know you got to speak pretty guardedly about this, but now, recruiting wise, how does that with the announcement in February? Has that changed where more kids are coming to you saying, or different doors open that were previously closed as an FCS school?
There's certainly some of that, yes, absolutely. There's some young men that I've talked to from out of state, from maybe some typical areas that we haven't been in, and that have been on the phone and just say, Coach, the fact that you guys are now in the Mountain West compared to the Missouri Valley, I'm now interested. I have had young men say that to me, so that's certainly exciting. I think that the upper Midwest, where we're always going to make sure that we do the best job we possibly can securing the local in-state talent, I don't think people are going to view us that much differently than, to be completely honest with you. I could be wrong on that, but I always thought that we're a destination for anybody in the upper Midwest. But those out-of-area guys, now all of a sudden I think things become a lot more attractive.
How's the pickleball game going right now?
You know, it's going really well.
Yeah.
Had a chance to play on, when did I play? I played Sunday night. I had a couple nice shots. Amy did not come and play. She was watching the girls. But I need a babysitter for Friday night at 9 o'clock.
All right,
the
we'll put it out there.
The linebackers and me are going to Courts and Pint
Really?
in Moorhead. We're going to play, and we've invited the whole team. And
We
I'm
might
just
have to
telling
get a
you,
camera over there
This
for
is
this.
do or die. I'm just telling you right now, there's a top court that's going to take place, and here's who's on it right now. So number one, Gavin Sell, and I'm just telling you, I will not team up with Gavin Sell. I love him so much, but I am not going to let that young man beat me. There's no chance. Okay, but Alex Elliott's on the court. Keith Williams is on the court. Jacob Rabanik and Peter Haugo are on the top court.
Okay.
I didn't know this. Jalen Archibald told me he's pretty good at tennis. I said, okay, you can come team up with me. Kenny and Nene is actually a pretty good pickleball player.
Seriously?
I think he might be out of town this weekend, but he's
It's
actually
a large
pretty dang
human
good.
to be good at pickleball. Holy cow!
I'm with you. So
Yeah.
he's just a big massive. Aim right at him. That's my strategy. I go just hit him in the ribs. See if you can't body bag him. So it's going down on Friday at 9 o'clock at night.
All right, we might have to get a camera over there for that. That's pretty good. Was there anybody that surprised you? You mentioned Kenny that is pretty good at this.
That one was pretty good. You know, I think it was DJ Volts. DJ had never played before.
Yeah.
We went and did this. We went and did this in February, I believe,
Okay.
and all the new guys came and played. He was pretty impressive for a guy that's never done it before. But anyway, I need to find a babysitter. I'm already putting the plug in right now. It's like somebody come over to the household, and all you gotta do is hang out. The girls will be asleep.
Okay.
But I
There we
need
go.
Amy to come and hang out because I'm like, I just
evaluate some talent there. Yeah.
Well, no, I want to get a chance
She
to go
went to
against
play?
her. I'm like, her and Gavin Sell, and there's like, or anybody else. I'm like, we are going to team up, and it's going to be a battle.
Can she watch golf anymore? Is golf on or on the television or no? I know she's busy doing 8 million other things. Is golf on anymore or no?
I mean, the majors, yes.
Yeah.
The majors, yes. We're
Yeah.
for sure following along, and she's still got a good number of friends that are out
Yes.
there as well that we're always
Like
following.
Nelly won last week, and I know how close they are. So that's a big deal.
That was cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, when they were at Shadow Creek in Vegas, I
Yeah.
had a chance during COVID to go out there and follow her around.
Yeah.
So like we turned that one on just because we've got. COVID sucked, but all of a sudden we got a fun memory together
Yeah.
of being able to go and do something.
Yep.
I will tell you, it's absolutely fascinating. Like I can't even imagine like going back and being the only person on the course as like the golfers, the caddies, the scorer, and me.
I remember you joined us. I can't remember what tournament you were. A couple you were out there. There's nobody here except me.
Nobody. There was one time I got talking to a scorekeeper, and the next thing I know is I was walking down the middle of the fairway one time during a tournament on like a Saturday, and I'm like, I look around, I'm like, I'm in so much trouble right now. I just. But
Did anybody say anything to you?
Nobody ever said anything.
Yeah.
So
that's
good times. Good times in Georgia. Yes,
that's fantastic. This was great, man. I really appreciate you coming by. We were able to do this. Let's do it again sometime. We get closer to the season. Okay,
for sure.
Great to have you, bud. Grant Olson
Thank
joining
you.
us here in studio. NDSU defensive coordinator, giving us the gamut of going on with Bison Ball right now. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things. Get you ready for a pretty good Sports Wednesday. Your Twins ever going to win a game again?
When I'm recruiting, I'm going to find a day. I will be there to cheer them on.
Hot Mike Raps right after this. All right, wrapping things up here. That was great stuff with Grant Olson. Hey, tomorrow on the show, friend of the program, Chris Meyer, will be here in studio, talk about special benefit going on for his son, Bo. So looking forward to our conversation with Chris coming up. He'll join us tomorrow, I believe, 9:30 for our program tomorrow. We got a bunch of comments in on two other topics we hit on, the NCAA basketball expansion and the CW deal. Dom, the fact the NCAA is going to increase the number of teams in the postseason basketball tournament is just another reason that NDSU and SDSU and Oral Roberts need to get out of the Summit League and into the Missouri Valley or Mountain West or another more relevant conference. The Summit League is a sinking ship. That's just my opinion. We'll see. I mean, I think everybody knows where I think on the Summit right now and the inaction that has happened around the league. Another email comes in. Dom, what I'm confused about is the CW removing those games from cable packages like YouTube TV and Midco to be exclusive to ESPN Unlimited, or is ESPN Unlimited going to be another option for those without a cable package? It is the latter. It is for cord cutters out there that have decided I'm done with satellite or cable, that this is another option to go. Do you have I know you talked to me about this. Do you have the ESPN Unlimited? I couldn't remember if you do or not.
I don't. I had it when...
You talked to me about it, though, right?
Yeah, I had it when the Packers-Eagles played, like when the ESPN YouTube was going on. I signed up for the month.
Okay.
Just for that game.
Yeah. It's $30 a month, you said.
Yep, $30 a month. And then I think it's cheaper if you do buy it for the whole year.
So, again, if you missed it earlier, the CW is going to put its football Mountain West games, and the CW has a bunch of content on there. It's not just that. They have ACC men's and women's basketball and football, Pac-12. They have, I believe, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Is that the second level of NASCAR, Eric? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's the old Xfinity Series,
okay,
but they just changed names.
So they have that. They have WWE on there. They have bowling, bull riding, volleyball, and the Arizona Bowl is on the CW, which is important because that's a Mountain West tie-in. So, again, if you have cord-cutted, I don't have CW, and this is a way for you coming up this fall to watch Mountain West football games, which now is relevant to us because North Dakota State will play in that league this upcoming fall. So we'll get more into it, by the way, on the NCAA basketball. I'm hopeful we'll get either Dave or Paul Sather on because I'd really like to have a mid-major experience on this. I know Fenton was a fan of this. I can tell you, I know he spoke in front of the NCAA on that because there's another email now we got to get to what to watch. I think this is a big win for the Summit. It gives teams a fighting chance at an at-large bid when the league is loaded. That is not going to happen. Plus the opportunity to pick up an extra 3 to 4 units per 6-year cycle by winning play-in games. The last number I saw was around $2.1 million per unit. That should help a few budgets in the Summit League. That part I do agree with. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. Good stuff today. All right, we got some matinee baseball coming up. Mariners and Twins, 12:30 on Twins TV as the Twins go for a series victory for the Blue Jays coming to town. Rockets and the Lakers tonight on ESPN at 9 o'clock. If the Lakers win, they move on to the second round. They're up 3-1. And Mammoth and the Golden Knights, 9 o'clock on TNT. That series is tied at 2 games apiece. We'll see who gets the upper hand there. Is just every night you got something good going on. It's pretty good viewing right now if you're a sports fan. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Chance Tucker, to Drew Trafton, to our guy Grant Olson. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Everybody have a great Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow.